the tale of Khorak Iron-Blood, champion of the North. In the frozen lands of Norsca, where the mountains pierce the sky like the fangs of a monstrous beast, and the winds howl with the voices of the damned, there lived a man known only as Khorak. His name would one day be spoken in fear across the old world, but in his youth, he was no more than a hunter, a soul touched by the harshness of the land, but still mortal, still bound to the will of men. Khorak was born under a dark moon, when the northern lights danced crimson in the skies, a portent of bloodshed to come. His tribe, the Frostwolf clan, was small, hardy, and proud. They survived by raiding the coastlines, taking what they needed from the weaker Southmen. But among the tribes of Norsca, they were insignificant, no more than wolves among greater beasts. Khorak's father, Skaldor, was the chieftain, but he was aging, and the tribe began to feel the weight of his fading strength. It was in these days of decline that Khorak heard the whispers of the gods. He was alone on a hunt, deep in the haunted woods of the north, when the storm broke. The sky split open, and from the maelstrom descended a figure clad in bronze and shadow, its form wreathed in unnatural light. The creature spoke with a voice that echoed in Khorak's mind, promising power, eternal glory, and the destruction of all who opposed him. This was no mortal apparition. It was a daemon of the dark gods, sent to test the young warrior. "The gods have seen you, Khorak of the Frostwolf," the daemon hissed. "They offer you a path. Spill the blood of your kin, and they shall raise you higher than any mortal king. Deny them, and you will die as nothing, forgotten in the snows." Khorak, his heart pounding with fear and fury, knew that the gods' offer was not to be refused. He returned to his tribe, his eyes darkened with grim purpose. That night, during the blood feast to honor his father's failing leadership, Khorak rose from his seat, axe in hand, and without a word, he struck his father down. The tribe howled in disbelief, but Khorak met them with the cold certainty of one chosen by the gods. Skaldor was weak, he bellowed, his voice carrying over the storm outside. "The Frostwolf clan will not perish under the leadership of a frail old man. Follow me, and we will spill the blood of empires." Some of the warriors, seeing the favor of the gods upon him, bent the knee. Others challenged him, but Khorak's axe answered them, their lifeblood staining the frozen ground. By dawn, Khorak was chieftain, his tribe now bound to him by fear and strength. The Frostwolves had a new leader, one whose ambitions reached far beyond raiding Southman villages. The dark gods smiled upon Khorak, and the gifts of chaos began to flow. His body grew stronger, his flesh hardened like iron, and his eyes burned with an unholy light. He became known as Khorak Iron-Blood, for no blade could pierce his skin, and his fury was unmatched in battle. His warband grew as warriors from other tribes flocked to him, drawn by the power they saw in his rise. But Khorak's hunger for glory was insatiable. It was not enough to lead mere warriors, he sought the favor of the gods themselves. He set out on a quest to the realm of chaos, seeking the blessing of the dark pantheon. His journey took him across the chaos wastes, through lands where the very ground twisted with madness and the sky wept fire. Many of his followers perished, consumed by the horrors of the warp, but Khorak endured, his will unbroken. At last Khorak stood before the black altar of the gods, where the four ruinous powers awaited him. Khorn, the bloodthirsty, demanded slaughter Tiench, the schemer, promised knowledge Nurgle, the bringer of decay, offered immortality in Slanesh, the prince of excess, whispered temptations of forbidden pleasures. Khorak, ever the warrior, knelt before Khorn, pledging his soul to the blood god. In return, Khorn bestowed upon him the mark of the champion, a brand of blackened iron seared into his flesh. His axe, once mortal steel, now burned with the fury of the blood god, and in his veins flowed the power of the gods themselves. From that day forth, Khorak Iron-Blood was no longer a man. He was a force of chaos, a champion chosen to lead the legions of the North in unending war. He returned to Norsca, His army now swelled with Daemons and dark creatures, and he led them southward into the lands of the Empire. Villages burned, cities fell, and the earth was stained red with the blood of the slain. His name became a curse on the lips of men, and the southern kings trembled at the sight of his banners. But the gods are cruel masters, and their gifts come with a price. Khorak's victories brought him ever closer to his ultimate destiny, the final test that would decide if he was truly worthy of immortality. In the heart of the Empire, before the walls of Middenheim, Khorak faced his greatest battle. The defenders were many, led by the Knights of Sigmar, but Khorak knew no fear. For days the battle raged, and Khorak's axe drank deep of the blood of his enemies. But on the eve of what would be his greatest triumph, when the gates of Middenheim were within reach, Khorak felt the weight of his divine pact. The gods, ever hungry for blood, demanded one final offering. They whispered in his mind, urging him to cast aside his mortal form and ascend into daemonhood. But Khorak, in his pride, refused. He had not fought so long and so hard to be bound by the whims of the gods. He would rule this world as a man, not as a slave to their power. The gods, angered by his defiance, withdrew their favor. Khorak's strength ebbed, his warriors faltered, and at last Khorak Iron-Blood fell, struck down not by the swords of men, but by the wrath of the gods he had spurned. Even in death, his name lived on. The tribes of Norsca sing of Khorak's rise and fall, a cautionary tale of ambition and defiance. Some say his spirit still roams the wastes, a cursed champion, forever seeking the glory he once tasted. Others claim his body lies beneath the frozen earth, waiting for the day the gods call him once more to lead their armies. And so ends the tale of Khorak Iron-Blood, the man who sought to claim the world, only to lose his soul in the grasp of the gods. His legend, like all in the North, is a reminder that in the realms of chaos, power comes at a price, and even the mightiest of warriors are but pawns in the games of gods.